Assalamu alaikum. I'm Fatma Adnan and I am here to teach you about religious reformers according to the O-level syllabus. So first of all, let us see that what are the reasons for the attempts to revive Islam in the subcontinent, or why was there a need for Muslim reformers during the 18th and 19th centuries. These are very important questions and repeatedly asked in the O-levels examinations. So the major reasons were that the decline of the Muslim military and political power was accompanied by moral and economic and intellectual decay within the society. Concerned Muslims, they were aimed to restore the former glory of the Muslim rule. There was also attempts to revive Islam by misleading fake ulmas, recognizing their incomplete knowledge. Shah Wali Ullah emphasized the importance of individuals studying the Quran independently, so he translated the Quran into Persian. During the 19th century, Punjab came under Sikh control, posing challenges for Punjabi Muslims to freely practice their religion and often enduring humiliation. Sikhs inflicted misery on Muslims, impeding their religious practices by converting mosques into horse stables and banning the azans and prayers. And Muslims were in much misery in that period. In East Bengal, Muslim farmers faced oppression under Hindu landlords, who were known as zimidars, encouraged by the British colonial rule. Muslims experienced significant oppression from both Hindus and British forces, and efforts to revive Islam primarily aimed to halt the decline of Muslims and spread Islamic teachings. Now, if we see the introduction of Shah Wali Ullah, he was born on 21st of February 1703 in Delhi, and his real name was Qutbuddin. His father's name was Shah Abdul Rahim, who was the founder of Madrasa Rahimia in Delhi, and he was a religious advisor of Aurangzeb and also the member for the Code of Law Fatwa Alamgiri Committee. From 1724 to 1732, he studied in Arabia under Sheikh Abu Tahir bin Ibrahim. Later, he became known as Shah Wali Ullah because of his piety. After coming back from Arabia, he decided to work for the revival of Islam. Now, if we talk about his beliefs or reasons for his work or causes of the revival of Islam, these are the three important questions which come under the topic of Shah Wali Ullah. So, if these questions are asked in the examination, then you have to answer in as following: that he was worried by the declining of Mughal rule and very miserable conditions of Indian Muslims after Aurangzeb's death. He analyzed that the Muslim community could bring some change in their condition only when they are united. He thought that the main reason for the deteriorating status of Muslims was the neglect of Quran and Sunnah, so Muslims should understand the Quranic teachings. He thought that an un-Islamic element in social, economic, political and personal matters of Muslims have influenced them greatly. He believed that Hindu customs, practices and beliefs had crept into the worship and lives of the Muslims. According to him, sectarian divide, means Shia-Sunni divide, among Muslims was one of the main reasons he wanted Muslims to become a united community in order to restore their glory. He also condemned the sinful way of life by following the un-Islamic activities borrowed by the non-Muslims, and they should be avoided. So if we talk about the work or contributions of Shah Wali Ullah in the spread of Islam, we can see that the work is divided into three broad categories: his religious works, his socio-economic works, and his political works. So first of all, we'll see his religious work, that he presented himself a role model before Muslims, had a command on Quran, Hadith, Fiqh and Sufism. He translated the Quran in Persian and the ulama criticized him, but his work got popular. His work inspired the future generations and his sons later translated the Quran in Urdu. which allowed more people to read and understand Quran. His teachings and preachings of the true essence of Islam at Madrasa Rahimia. Shah Wali Ullah recommended the application of ijtihad, that is, the judgment of the individual on the basis of Quran and Sunnah, as against the blind following of the four schools of thought. He wrote 51 books in Persian and Arabic to guide the Muslims. For example, Hajjatullah al-Balagha. He advised Muslims in that book to give up the layer and the wasteful expenditures on marriages, deaths, and births, and wealthy Muslims were asked to take care of the poor. Izlalatul Akhfa was another book. In that book, he wrote the accounts of four caliphs of Islam in a way which was acceptable to both the sects, Sunnis and Shias. Now, if we talk about socio-economic work or services, he stressed on the value of social justice for ordinary people. He emphasized on Muslims to be honest. He advised Muslims to avoid extravagance and overspending on events like marriages, births, and funerals. He encouraged wealthy Muslims to support the poor and needy. He urged traders and businessmen to adopt fairer practices in trading and wealth accumulation. He also emphasized on the importance of social justice, adl, and equilibrium, tawazun, in the society. He also advocated for fair compensation for the labor of peasants and craftsmen, that it should be given on time and in a proper amount. Now, if we see about here, we see the political work or services. The Mughal Empire was weakening and the Muslims were not united. Shah Wali Ullah believed that the significant changes wouldn't come from the weak leadership in Delhi, so they would stem from the within the Muslim community. So he took a practical step to counter threats to the Mughal rule, especially the Marathas. So he persuaded nobles to save the empire. He wrote letters to them and invited the Afghan general Ahmad Shah Abdali and defeated the Marathas in the third battle of Panipat. So it was his political services. Now, if we talk about the importance of his work, and it is a very important question, that he emphasized on spiritual and moral regeneration of Muslims. He translated Quran in Persian and wrote many other books as well. He became a role model in front of Muslims to lead a pure life. He educated numerous students, charging them with responsibility of promoting peace and solidarity within the Muslim community. His work survived in the form of his writings, and thousands of the followers from Madrasa Rahimia and his sons carried forward his teachings as well. He highlighted the importance and need of jihad to save Indian Muslims at a difficult time. He emphasized to bridge the sectarian differences among the Muslims. If we talk about the reasons for the translation of the Holy Quran into Persian, that what were the reasons that he translated the Holy Quran into Persian? So it was that Shah Wali Ullah translated the Quran into Persian because previously it was only available in Arabic, and which was not widely understood at that time in the subcontinent. So many Muslims in the subcontinent were unfamiliar with their religion, and those who had knowledge were in the minority. बहुत कम थे वो. This lack of understanding contributed to the weakness of the Muslim nation. Although Muslims would read the Quran, its meaning was often inaccessible due to its Arabic text. So Shah Wali Ullah addressed this challenge by translating the Quran into Persian, recognizing that the decline of the Muslims partly stemmed from their unfamiliarity with the Quranic teachings. So during his time in Arabia, Shah Wali Ullah deeply contemplated the challenges faced by Muslims in the declining Mughal Empire. So he observed the disunity and vulnerability of Muslims to attack on their religion, and Shah Wali Ullah concluded that meaningful reform could not emerge from weak leadership in Delhi. Instead, he believed that it had to originate from within the Muslim community itself. So, if we talk about the importance of Madrasa Rahimiyya, which was the main zone of Shah Wali Ullah, then Madrasa Rahimiyya established by Shah Abdul Rahim, who was the father of Shah Wali Ullah in the 18th century, and it's situated in Delhi and it served as an Islamic educational institution. After Shah Abdul Rahim passing in 1718, Shah Waliullah Delvi resumed teaching responsibilities at the madrasa. It played a significant role in uh, promoting Islamic teachings. And following Shah Waliullah's demise, his sons Shah Rafi and Shah Abdul Qadir took over teaching duties at the madrasa. So, importance of Madrasa Rahimiyya question can come as a 4-mark question in the O levels paper. So, now we'll move to another religious scholar whose name was Ahmed Shahid Barelvi. And if we talk about his introduction, he was born near Lucknow at Rai Bareli in a Sayyid family, and in 1806 his father died and he was studying in Madrasa Rahimiyya. Studied 2 years under the sons of Shah Waliullah, and he was the man of action, then a scholar, by the way. Why I'm saying this, I'll let you know about that. In 1810, he joined army of Amir Khan, a Pathan leader, and he learned military skills over there. Then he returned to Delhi, and from 1821 to 23, he went to Arabia. He was strongly influenced by Sheikh Abdul Wahab, who was the founder of the Wahhabi movement. He started Jihad movement in 1823 against the Sikhs of the Punjab initially, and his supporters designated him as Amirul Momineen, which meant as commander of the believers. And in 1831 he fought his last battle against Sikhs at Balakot. Now, if we talk about the beliefs and reasons for his work, he started jihad or armed struggle, wanted to revive the Muslim rule. He also emphasized on the need to end evils and corruption in Muslim society, so far that he wanted to eliminate un-Islamic elements in order to ensure intellectual, spiritual and moral revival of Muslims. The weak Mughal ruler was there due to British policies primarily. Ranjit Singh had a strong Sikh rule in Punjab. He banned congregational prayers like Azan in Badshahi Mosque was used as a base of Sikh army at that time, and the Eid prayers were also banned. The Friday prayers were also banned, and he surrounded himself. Ahmad Shahid Barelvi, surrounded himself with men of great piety who rejected the worldly wealth. Now, if we talk about his work and services, he influenced thousands of Muslims across India on his way to Arabia and urged them for jihad during 1821. And in 1823, he returned from Arabia and he was ready for jihad at that time. And he created a team of volunteers who were called Mujahideen, and they were volunteer fighters for the revival of the glory of Islam. He made extensive tours of Punjab, NWFP, Sindh, Rajasthan, and even Afghanistan, and set up his headquarters near Peshawar. He gave his first ultimatum to Ranjit Singh to grant freedom of worship to Muslims, but Ranjit Singh took it non-seriously and he dismissed it. So there was a first fight at Okara on 21st of December, and then there was a second fight at Hazrot, and then the Sikhs suffered defeat as well. So it was a great victory. This victory led more Mujahideen joined the troops, and total number of troops were almost 80,000. though there were disagreements on many issues due to different cultural backgrounds of the Mujahideen. There was Sikhs exploitation because they said that the troops are un-Islamic because of different cultural backgrounds. There were different sects involved in that. Means there were Sunni Mujahideens, there were Shia Mujahideens, there were other cultural backgrounds as well. So they exploited the situation. Muslim scholars took a step and unanimously declared Syed Ahmed Barelvi as their Imam, means leader, and got religious and political authority. And it increased the unity and power of the Muslims. And it was deliberately done to stop the exploitation of the Sikhs. His local Pathan tribal chief, Yar Muhammad Khan, was bribed by Sikhs, began to leak information about his moves, and his servants tried to poison Syed Ahmed as well. First, he tried to kill Syed Ahmed Barelvi, then deserted him when he was about to attack the Attock fort by creating confusion and chaos in the ranks, and Syed Ahmed Barelvi was defeated in result. It led to defeat of Syed Ahmed's forces, moved his headquarters to Balakot as it was safe option, and he hoped to liberate Kashmir and Hazara. Again, he was betrayed by the local leaders and faced a surprise attack by a huge Sikh force in Balakot. 600 Mujahideens were killed, including Syed Ahmed Barelvi. Now, if we talk about his importance or of his work or influence of his work, we can see that he was a he started a pioneer armed struggle to liberate Muslims from the autocracy of the non-Muslims. Jihad movement attempted to achieve spiritual and religious freedom of Muslims, not for any particular Muslim ruler. Jihad movement acted as a uniting force for Muslims, and it was also a forerunner of Pakistan movement, both aimed for the freedom of Muslim majority areas from the non-Muslims. Now there is another question which is very important one, and it is that what were the reasons for the failure of the Jihad movement? It also comes as a 4-mark question in CIAs. And the answer would be that the lack of professional army, and it was not well trained in military tactics. Differences among Mujahideen due to certain sectarian differences. Sikhs also exploited the situation. Sikh bribed the local leaders. Pathan could not tolerate being in an army that they were not ruling. Syed Ahmed Barelvi imposed taxes on local population to bear military costs, and many people resented to pay these taxes. Now, there is another character called Titu Mir, who is a very important character in that era. And his actual name, why I'm teaching about him with Syed Ahmed Barelvi, is because he was one of his disciples. So the 4-mark question can come of the Titu Mir as well. That his name was Syed Mir Nisar Ali, also known as Titu Mir, and he was a prominent figure in Bengal during the 19th century. He was an Islamic preacher and a key leader in the Bengali freedom movement. Titu Mir fought against the oppression of local landlords and British colonial authorities in Bengal. He led the Tarakki Muhammadiyya movement aimed at reforming Muslim society in Bengal. He was inspired by Syed Ahmed Barelvi. He believed in active resistance against his enemies. And however, his confrontational approach led to conflict with British, and ultimately resulting in his failure. Titu Mir organized Muslim farmers in West Bengal to resist the oppression of Hindu landlords supported by the British. He also opposed the discriminatory measures such as imposed taxes on Muslim beard and encouraged non-payment of such taxes. He established his base in Narkalberia village near Calcutta. Titu Mir built a bamboo fort and formed a small army to defend his community. The British perceived his actions as a threat to their authority and launched combined attack led by Lieutenant Colonel Stuart in 1831. Despite putting up a fearless fight, Titu Mir and his followers succumbed to the superior firepower of the British forces. So Titu Mir, along with many of his supporters, died on 19th November 1831, marking the end of his rebellion. So after that, there are some small topics like zimidars. Who were zimidars? They were the powerful landlords and tax collectors who held significant sway in the society, often possessing private weapons as well. Following Aurangzeb's demise, they grew increasingly defiant towards new rulers and hesitant to pay taxes to the government in Delhi. Particularly in East Bengal, Muslims faced hostility from zimidars, with instances like Krishna Devraj imposing a tax on beards, further fueling tensions. And Titu Mir, a prominent Bengali freedom fighter, rallied against Zimmedar's oppression. He encouraged Muslims to resist the unfair beard tax, seen as a way to break free from the grip of oppressive landlords. Now, if we talk about Ranjit Singh, Maharaja Ranjit Singh from 1780 to 1839 led the Sikh Empire in the early 19th century. He ascended to power at 21 after fighting Afghan forces, and he was declared Maharaja of Punjab. Under his rule, the empire expanded, annexing Punjab, Kashmir and parts of Afghanistan. He signed a treaty with British government in 1809 regarding Sindh, aimed British concerns about Russian influence in Afghanistan. So he had a friendship treaty with British. Despite British desires for a pro-British ruler in Afghanistan, Ranjit Singh maintained his independence. However, after British troops suffered losses in Afghanistan, British annexed Sindh and later Punjab. Ranjit Singh earned the moniker Sher-e Punjab or Lion of Punjab for his leadership and popularity. But unfortunately, in his era, the condition of Muslims was miserable. Okay, then there is another question which normally comes in CIs, that why Syed Ahmed Barelvi a suitable person to lead opposition to the Sikhs? He was because he was proficient in European military tactics. He used his skills to lead a jihad against Sikhs in Punjab and NWFP, where Muslims faced religious restrictions. He had deep understanding of Islam, and his education at Madrasa Rahimia and knowledge of Islam helped him unite Muslims against Sikh oppressions. He also built extensive network within the Muslim community as a Sufi with connections to various scholars and schools of thought, including those from Madrasa Rahimia and Saudi Arabia. He successfully mobilized Mujahideen against the Sikhs. Now, our last religious scholar, who was Haji Shariatullah, let's see his introduction. He was born in 1781 at Faridpur district in East Bengal. His father was a farmer, and in 1799 he went for pilgrimage and stayed there for 19 years. He was greatly influenced by Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab, and he decided a mission for Bengali Muslims. He started the Faraizi movement. We'll later see that what was the Faraizi movement. He died in 1840, and Faraizi movement was continued by his son Mohsinuddin till 1857. Now, if we talk about his beliefs and reasons for his work, we can see that Haji Shariatullah initiated the Faraizi movement to unite Muslim peasants and raise political awareness. Faraizi movement was supported the idea of jihad against the non-Muslims, and also it asked Muslims to perform religious duties which were called farais in order to improve their religion and socio-economic conditions. Fraizy movement was also launched to counter both the British and the Hindu landlords. British got political power from 1750 onwards, and Hindus gained economic prosperity, left Muslims as poor farmers. Haji Shariatullah found that the Muslim community in Bengal had been oppressed by local authorities, and little opportunities in education and employment were given to Muslims. Haji Shariatullah also believed that it is the worst condition of Muslims that India led to be Darul Harb. Darul Harb means land under the enemy rule. So Friday and Eid prayers should not be offered till the Muslims got victory. Muslim peasants also were oppressed by Hindu and as well as British landlords, who imposed numerous taxes, often exceeding normal rent. These laws and taxes were deemed dishonest and oppressive for Muslims. Landlords even enforced religious laws such as banning cow slaughter during the Eid al-Adha. Haji Shariatullah also objected to these practices and instructed his followers not to pay dishonest taxes. Tensions between the Fraizis and landlords were extended, and who were the most the landlords were mostly Hindus, and escalated due to these conflicts. This tension led to the Fraizi movement, as the two factions stood against each other, which were Hindus and Muslims. Now, if we talk about his work and details of Fraizi movement, or what was the Fraizi movement, if you get the question related to his work, then you will answer it accordingly. That he urged Muslims to observe religious duties. He worked for the restoration of the Muslim pride and welfare. He also believed that Muslims should leave the sinful way of life and start new life of piety and obedience to Allah. Muslims should follow the religious obligations of a true Muslim. Local Hindu authorities and European indigo planters were troubled on seeing Bengali Muslim being influenced by the Fraizi movement. He was forced to leave Nawabganj, Dhaka, where he died in 1840. Now, with his work, there is a work of Mohsinuddin, who was his son, and his work was also very important. And sometimes a 4-mark question can come for him as well. So let's see about his work. So Haji Shariatullah's work was carried on by his son Mohsinuddin, who continued and introduced important economic measures, like he divided East Bengal into different areas called circles. Each circle was controlled by Khalifas, responsible of social and spiritual welfare of the people. He asked the Muslim peasants to oppose undue taxes imposed by the British and Hindu landlords. Under his leadership, the movement took a more militant form, organized resistance to Hindu landlords and money lenders, boycotting the tax payments and interest charges. It caused unrest in Bengal and threatened to start jihad against British government. Mohsinuddin even attempted to form a parallel Muslim government within East Bengal, but he was arrested and died in 1860. Fraizi movement gradually declined after his death. Now, if we talk about the importance of Haji Shariatullah's work of Fraizi movement, then we can see that it gave courage and hope to the oppressed Muslims of Bengal so that they could improve their position. It caused spiritual revival among Bengali Muslims. They began to leave the un-Islamic beliefs and superstitions and practices. It encouraged the political awakening among the Bengali Muslims. They began to unite against the tyranny of Hindu landlords and oppressive policies of the British. Muslim peasants started to think about improving the economic conditions in the challenging circumstances. Evolution of Fraizi movement of 19th century into Pakistan movement of the 20th century was evident. So this was the chapter of religious reformers for you people. I hope that it was clear, the main points were clear, and if you like the video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much.